Plague Sorcerer build. It has never been better. It is functioning so well in this Dragonhold patch because of the ease of people being able to get that 6,000-7,000 weapon or spell damage, how tanky they are with great heals. This character, or one similar to it, needs to be in every group that's running in Cyrodiil right now. To start off with, we're going to have a main build with 2 variations, and then we're going to have a second build when you need extra healing. For this character in particular, not necessarily for an entire group. To start with, we are an Argonian. However, if you have really great healers in group comp, somebody that's running Symphony of Blades, Master Resto staff, people that are feeding you synergies constantly, and you're able to keep your resources good without having that benefit of the Argonian with popping pots, then you might want to consider making this build with a Nord, getting the extra resistance, and that extra bit of alt regen would be huge for helping to keep your negate up and ready at all times. So let's go ahead and get into the gear. Okay guys, we got a bit of an out of the box setup on this. We're running a 2-piece monster set, a 5-piece armor set, and then with our jewelry and weapons, we're actually running 2 3-piece sets that we will keep the 2-piece bonus on each set up 100% of the time, and then switch between the 3rd perk on the front bar and back bar on the 2 different sets. And how we're accomplishing this is by running Resto Staff front bar and Potentates. The reason why we're going to have it on the front bar, our Resto Staff is going to be our range side, where we're going to be throwing out our negate. And that is when we're going to want that 3-piece item to reduce the ultimate cost by 15%, to help us keep our negates out as much as we can. Now, as I mentioned in the intro, if you're wanting to run this a little bit more like a negate pot, and you're going to go the Nord route as opposed to the Argonian route, then instead of running these in precise, what you will run them in decisive to help with the alt gen. Now, on the sword and board side, we're running the weapon and potentates, and I'll go over why we're running these in precise a little bit later, and then 1 in endurance. So what this is allowing us to do on our front quote-unquote ranged attack bar, when we're in a little bit safer of an area, we're carrying that reduced cost for our ulti. On our back bar, when we're a little bit more defensive or we're in the thick of things, we're getting that extra health recovery. Thurvacoons is our monster set. You can see I have the helmet in light. You would actually want that in medium and your shoulders in light to achieve the 5-1-1 setup for the Undaunted passives. I just don't have best in slot yet. Everything's going to have the multi-effect enchantment, or all of our jewelry is going to be running Triune as well to get the most stats that we can. Running impenetrable on everything. Thurvacoons right now is great. Like I said, we got all these guys that are tanky, that have huge amounts of damage. So we want to get that minor defile and minor maim procced on them. These guys that are running, 6,000 weapon damage, we can hit them. If we get them in this, it's going to reduce their damage by 15%. That's huge. It's not just reducing that damage to us, but it's reducing it for everybody that they're trying to attack. And then the minor defile, we're going to take their health recovery and their healing received down by 20% with this set. And we're going to combine that obviously with Durok's Bane, which again, When we take damage, we're applying major Defile, which is going to reduce their health recovery and healing received by 40%. So now we're at a 60% total that we are reducing their healing and their health recovery. Again, with as tanky and as good of heals as people have this patch, like I said, a build like this needs to be in every group that's running in Cyrodiil at the moment. Now, when it comes to jewelry, we're running one piece of potentates. Everything's going to have health recovery, again in triune. So, with this one piece and the one sword on the back bar, we still keep our 2-piece item. And then we keep the 2-piece of endurance up at all times. So we keep the maximum health, and we keep the reduction of damage taken from players by 5% at all times. But then as we switch bars, when we have the staff, it counts as the 2-piece. That gives us the ulti reduction. And on the back bar, we have the shield, which gives us our extra piece to get the health recovery. Now, I know that people are immediately going to think that running the 3-piece sets isn't as good as having another 5-piece set, because we're giving up an additional perk, basically. However, when you compare this to, let's say, something like Fortified Brass. Fortified Brass, first perk gives you like 1200 max health. Obviously, the 2-piece from Endurance is giving us about an extra 600 over that. And then Fortified 2 and 3-piece is giving us like the 1487 armor on both of those. So we're just under 3000 armor with those 2 pieces. However, since Potentates does a flat 5%, if you are equating that to an armor rating, you're basically looking at 3,300. So we actually end up with just slightly more mitigation than that. And then basically, instead of having a stagnant 5th perk from running an additional 5-piece set, it allows us to kind of custom tailor our piece to what we're doing at that time, with being able to switch between the ulti regen and the health recovery. So there's actually a lot of benefit to running and splitting up 3-piece sets, depending on exactly what you're trying to accomplish this patch. For our resto staff side, this is kind of our ranged setup. So we got Rune Cage, Critical Surge. Because the heals that we get off of this is based off of critical damage being done, and we have so many AoEs, so many numbers ticking, this is why we have the precise weapons, to make sure that we have the highest chance of doing a critical damage every second and getting that heal. This really goes a long way in helping our healers out, so we're not draining their resources, keeping us alive, that we can be a good bit self-sufficient in our survival. Borrowed Time, we're going with this morph 100% because of the heal absorption. We can negate out 5,000 points of their healing. Gives us 3 seconds on it, but that's phenomenal. When we get the guy caught in the stun and their healer is already healing somebody that's got Defile on them and it's reducing it by 60%, and then we can negate out a total of 5,000 healing on top of that, we can put a lot of players in a lot of bad ways and put a good bit of pressure on our enemies. Razor Caltrops, two things. One, get the major fracture on enemies, help them become more vulnerable to our DPS. But we're using this as a good AoE to proc as many damage numbers as we can to try to get that crit, to get our heal. Of course, we like the fact that it's reducing their movement speed by 50%. It's in our combination to try to slow them down and not be able to get out of the time stop that we're about ready to cast on them. Daedric Tome. Reason for this is because of the immobilize and the fact that we can throw it. And then, of course, our ulti is suppression field. Again, it's damage every half second. It's an AoE, another chance to be producing numbers to get us our heal, but also just to help keep some damage numbers on enemies to eat up some of their healing that they're receiving in their health regen. On the back bar, we're starting out with the ulti Temporal Guard. This isn't something that we're ever actually going to cast and use. It is there solely to give us the reduction of 8% for our total damage taken from players. Restraining Prison is our immobilize on this bar, close range. The great thing about Restraining Prison is gain major vitality, increasing our healing received by 30% for 2 seconds, plus an extra second for every enemy in the area, up to 6 enemies. So again, we're making it easier for our healers to keep us at full health, plus it's increasing the healing that we're proccing on ourselves. Turn Evil is our close range stun. It's also great for when we're on the ram and people are dropping oils. We can give that minor protection to the group that's on the ram. Also helps keep our stamina recovery up a little bit better. Defensive Stance. It's all about the passive for me, to be able to increase the amount that we're able to block by 10%, reducing its cost by 10%. Being able to time it when a sorc's about ready to drop a frag on us or something of that nature and bounce it back is nice also. Hurricane obviously is our resistance buff, but again, another huge AoE that's doing ticks of damage, trying to get that healing proc on us. Introspection is how we are managing our resources and keeping our stamina and magicka up when we're not able to get any heavy attacks out. Again, throwing down the minor protection, casting this while people are dropping oils on us. We can literally just stand there, channel this, and out heal the oils that are being dropped on us. Alright, for our CP, 51 into Warlord. We had 2 extra points. We're just throwing it into Sprinter so we can get some value out of them. Siphoner, we're going to throw 15 points in there. Again, our light and heavy attacks are going to reduce the enemy's health, magicka, and stamina, resource restore, and recovery by 4%. Now we're up to a maximum of 64% for trying to reduce players' health recovery. 19 into Tenacity to help us get our resource back when we heavy attack. Health recovery, 43 for 10%. 84 points into Defile. We want to increase the effectiveness of all of our healing reduction abilities. And 56 into Shadow Ward to reduce the cost of our block. 7 into Blessed. However, with the small group build, where you don't have great dedicated healers, you could be taking some points out of our damage category and putting into the blessing to help your healing. So basically you would just take 1%, 2% out of all of these and drop it over into your healing. 72 points into Thaumaturge, 72 points into Precise Strikes. Again, that's going to help our healing when they hit criticals. 55 into Piercing, 64 into Mighty. Now, even though we're running magic abilities along with our physical abilities, I do have a lot of points in here, specifically because the other small group set that we do, some of our healing is going to be based off of how much physical and poison damage we're doing. So I want to amplify that as much as possible as well. For our resistances, we're running 51 into Ironclad, 22 into Spell Shield, 56 into Resistant, 28 into Thick Skin. We are going to be standing in a lot of oils and enemy siege, so we do actually want to have a decent chunk into the damage over time reduction. 37 into Hardy, 37 into Elemental Defender, 20 into Heavy Armor, and 19 into Quick Recovery. Again, increase the healing that we're proccing on ourselves and make it a little bit easier on our healers. Okay, now for the gear changes when we're going to run in small group or we don't have enough healing that we need to become more self-reliant, we're going to take out Potentates and the Endurance combination and replace it with Leeching. Again, we're going to get the health bonuses, but we're also going to get the 4% to increase our healing taken. And then the Leeching Cloud, we're going to heal ourselves for 100% of the damage it causes, which is why all that CP is into the poison and physical side of the damage. And we will double bar the Twilight to get the heal, so we can heal ourselves on demand. Plus, it's another damage that will be out there to help proc that self-heal. For me personally, and it's up to you what abilities you want to drop, I get the most benefit when I drop Introspection and the Daedric Tome. As you can see, I have the attribute points split evenly between magic and stamina. I run mage, however, it's up to you. I always suggest that with Mundus Stone, you pick whatever benefits your playstyle the best. Play the build, whatever you kind of see as a need to let you play it the way you want to play it. Put it in at your Mundus Stone. Alright, for our food, the Bewitched Sugar Skulls. Definitely the best thing going for large group play. And again, it's another one of the reasons why having a build like this in your group is so important. Because so many people are running things now, and I mean an extra 462 health recovery that we're having to deal with this patch. With the small group play setup and the Twilight, the extra drain on magic, it can be very beneficial to sometimes run the Clockwork Citrus Fillet. I generally, even in both situations, just prefer the extra stamina. and rely on heavy attacking more for my resources. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the Black Plague Sorcerer build. I hope there was some useful information in here. You guys get a chance to play it and have some fun. Hope to see you guys in Cyrodiil. If you did like it, please subscribe, like, hit the bell, all that stupid nonsense, and share the video. Thanks for your guys' time.